So let me just introduce the very new HP Labs. In case you haven't heard about us, we're making a big bang in Singapore. Right now, what is HP Labs? Well, this is so that more audience can come in, and then by the time I start the real talk, we'll be ready. Okay, so what is HP Labs? We actually the exploratory research branch of HP. We think of ideas, we try to push them to the business units, and well, over time, it's been established since 1966, and it's also one of the oldest business units in Hewlett-Packard. In fact, the original office of Hewlett and Packard are actually there, in this place that you can see here. So over time, we see many different things. They used to create the coolest things in the market. For example, the handheld calculator, which used to be the iPod of my father's generation, you know. And they have very, very cool employees, such as Erwin Sobel here. So here we are standing in front of the oscillator, which is the very first product of Hewlett-Packard. Okay, and they patented it, and then they sell it to Disney, and then after that, the rest is history. Okay, so Erwin Sobel is actually, if you are into edge detection computer, you know, so when you do Photoshop, you want to detect the edges of your photos. He's the guy behind the algorithm. Okay, and we have 7 labs around the world. There's 600 plus minus of us, and Singapore is the newest one on the block. Yeah, and the Singapore lab is actually focusing on cloud and security, and that's the reason why I'm here. And our lab is divided into 2 labs. One is the research people, guys with the PhDs. And then we have the other very interesting group, which are the applied research. These are the geeks, okay? So you mix the researchers and the geeks together, you create magic. The geeks are actually the top programmers of Python, Ruby, Java in Singapore and in the region. And we work very closely together. We have a very interesting, so we can call this the utopia of a salaried man. Okay, we don't need to worry about the profits and the margins of the company. We think about bringing the company forward in terms of ideas and technology. So we have the research labs and the applied research labs, and we understand what the consumers need, and we work with the business units. So we basically think and create cool ideas. And our lab has about people from 12 nationalities. Average age group is those who are young at heart, and the work or in the prime time, and average working experience. Can those at the back see the slide? If not, I have to make myself dark. Okay, okay. So average working experience is about 6 to 10 years, or even more. Yeah. So the older ones are hiding at the back. And the people, I mean, we like fun. We have Nerf guns. We have different things inside the lab. We play a lot, and there's a free sitting, so you can sit anywhere in the lab. We do our research, we think of ideas, we brainstorm, we draw patents. And basically, that's it about HP Labs. So, yeah, you want to have a tour of our lab, just send me an email later, or after today. The format of the talk will be divided into past, present, and future, as stated in the title, right? There'll be 2 breaks in between, in case you guys want to go to the toilet. So, hope that will be able to. But in the breaks, there will also be kind of like a quiz session where you can get to win the limited edition Cloud Computing for Dummies book by Wiley. Okay, not I published one. And not written by me, but it's sponsored by HP. So what is cloud computing? Okay, how many of you here are actually IT professionals? Raise your hand. 30%. Okay, and how many of these IT professionals are cloud professionals? You dare to call yourself cloud professionals without getting thrown stones or eggs? Not cloud. Any of you? Okay, so you are at the right talk. Okay, so the talk is actually aimed for people with almost zero knowledge of cloud computing and security. But at the end of the talk, you will be equipped with the necessary skills to actually think. Why am I surrounded by all this terminology? Why is this security thing so important? Everybody says it's important. Must I really agree that it's important? You know, this kind of questions. And fundamentally, there's no right or wrong answer, okay? It's a concept. It's a concept that we're all striving towards. And I'll show you many examples and perspectives of how we achieve this concept. Okay? So it's evolving. It's now over time, people say, I thought it's this. Then another guy, no, thought it's this. Then you see sometimes you see people throwing things here and there, thought it's this. Yeah. But over time, humans tend to consolidate herd mentality. Okay? We tend to consolidate, and eventually we come to a few perspectives. First perspective, right, that we can see, right, in cloud computing is there is this perspective of business model. So this is how they sell to you. Okay, how they sell cloud to you. They say, you buy a cloud service, you will definitely get on-demand self-access. You also get a lot of network access as well. Okay, and you will have lots of resources. Resources meaning the computers underneath. And you will have so-called elasticity. Later I'll tell you what is elasticity, not rubber band. Okay? Then there's this pay-per-use model, which is the most attractive thing in cloud computing. Okay? And there's another perspective, the layers and scope perspective. So this is where the technical people, right, like myself, we find very comfortable, because if we see layers, we feel very shook, especially in networking guys. So, very cheap. So fundamentally, the whole thing is summarized into 3 layers. Okay? Underneath everything, there is the infrastructure. So you see all the servers, the routers, and everything. So infrastructure as a service. Okay? And then, now I can see the question marks forming already. So you tahan me a bit. Okay? Infrastructure as a service. Then above that, there are the platforms that are running. And then above that, there's the software. Then why is this thing called as a service? Why so chonky, right? Why you want to use so many words to describe this? Why is it as a service? Because of the fundamental concept of cloud computing. In the past, we used to, when we want to buy a server, so let's say, I believe there may be CEOs in this, or CTOs here. In the past, when you want to buy computing resources, right, you buy the actual hardware. Okay? You make sure that you get the hardware, and then after that you ask, employ people, or you do it yourself, okay? To set it up and everything. But right now, with this, right, all you need to do is just to swipe a card and buy that service. They'll be available to you. I'll give you very good examples of this. The other one is, you always hear, public cloud, private cloud. Okay? What is exactly private and what is exactly public? I'll give you examples as well. Okay? And so this is where the confusion starts to begin. And then the consultants from all the consulting companies start to jump in and say all the different buzzwords. And that's why everybody gets confused. So what they fail to do is they fail to give you examples. They give you, so for example, recently, right, we hear this guy, now very skinny, then in black, okay, he's saying with jeans, and he's saying the cloud, okay, and we have the iCloud. And this iCloud, what does it mean? It means that once you load your picture there or your music there, everything can be synced together. Okay, so that's an example of software as a service. The other one is Salesforce.com. You always hear Salesforce.com. What is it? Is it just for sales? No, not exactly. But it sells you the services, okay, that is relating to selling to another company something. So the entire sales, customer relationship management software is now in this concept known as a cloud. So all you need to do is just go to so you just need a computer. You open up the browser, and then after that you just click the URL, you log in, and then you have access to this software and service. So you realize the beauty here is we don't need to install anything. We don't even know how to install, we don't even know how to maintain, we don't even know how to patch the thing. And the same goes for us. How many of you here are actually Gmail or Yahoo Mail users? Well, a lot. So actually you are kind of using the cloud already. Yeah. So you realize that when you get the Gmail or the Yahoo Mail, you do not need to understand how to set up an Exchange server or POP or IMAP or anything. Yeah. Because they conceptualize it in such an easy way. You just have to log in and then you get a service. So that's why everything is as a service. Okay, it's just different layers. So this third one, how many of you watch the Steam MSN TV? I watch it sometimes because sometimes I watch the drama to de-stress. Okay, then especially the news, very funny. Yeah. So so I watch it on the Steam and MSN. Okay, and what is this thing? So you look back at the slides just now. There's this talk about ubiquitous network access. It means, hey, I can access MSN and I can access Gmail from everywhere. And then there's this elasticity. Later I'll go to that. But there's this on demand. Once I want it, I have a computer, I get it. Okay? Self-instant gratification. And if needed, you will pay for use. Okay? And what goes on next is platform as a service. So, wow, this is where people say, wow, what is platform? Platform is a very abstract term. People will think, hey, what is platform? Exactly. Tell me what is platform. So platform usually is something that is in between your software and your hardware, the bare metal, and something that makes all the software to run easier. That's all. Okay? And basically, for example, okay, I'm not selling all these things, I'm just using them as examples. I'm here representing Cloud Security Alliance. So I can use all these things. Okay? So for example, Microsoft says, you buy our platform as a service, we will give you the Windows. Okay? You don't need to have your own computer anymore. We give you the entire computer as a service. Okay? That's a platform. And on top of that, you want to run a small business, can. You get the SQL, which is a database service. You also get the SharePoint, you get to share your document management, and so on. And further on, then you hear about people talking about infrastructure as a service. So they are now making so we go lower, right? So just now software, then platform, then now infrastructure. So what is infrastructure as a service? It means now they package the entire hardware as a service to you, so that you can buy new servers virtually. Okay? And you hear about, Amazon is the leader in cloud computing and blah blah blah. But what exactly is it? I thought Amazon sell book one. Right? How come Amazon is a cloud provider? Yeah, because they think ahead. They reinvent themselves. And many years ago, they came out with a few. The first few services they have are the EC2 and the S3. Okay? And I'll give you examples. But what's more interesting is actually the example clients. There are startups, right, that spring up over the internet. So nowadays, you see all the young people, they go to their restaurant, they say, I check in at this place. And they go to the other, or maybe they go to their girlfriend's house, they check in at that place, right? So that's Foursquare, right? Do you know that the entire Foursquare company, all their resources actually run on the Amazon cloud? How did we know? Because there was one day when the Amazon cloud, kaboom. then after that they say, we actually run on the Amazon cloud. Sorry, we can't give you the Foursquare. You can't check in now. Maybe a few hours later, then I can give you the service. Yeah, so this leads us to think about some questions. But before that, I want to satisfy the hunger of the techie people. So let's look at an example of the EC2. So EC2, there's this Elastic Compute Cloud. Elastic Compute Cloud means, okay, if you look at this diagram, you realize that, wow, so cheap. How can I understand? Okay, let me make it easy for you. On the left side, these are actually all the servers that you have, that you pay for. That means you use your credit card and you pay. And then on the right side, you can state which operating system you want. Fantastic, right? In the past, you don't even need to. In the past, you need to think, should I dual boot or should I not? But now you just have to buy and then click, and then now you have a Debian server. And here, you can imagine this as a virtual Windows Explorer, where you go inside this computer, virtual big computer called the cloud, and then you can actually store all your files there, all your large files there, right? So, you send it, all those things, right? Or sometimes people use Gmail to store their large documents or to back up their stuff, right? That's not good enough. These people, they actually give you terabytes, and it's actually very cheap also. Sometimes it's even cheaper than a thumb drive. Okay? That's how amazing it is. And I'll show you why. But before that, I don't want to blast you with more of myself. I want to show you some real life example. Let you appreciate what actually goes on behind the scenes. Okay, so I'm going to show you some video. And if you pardon me, I will need to do some setting up. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, just raise your hand. I will be able to answer you. If not, we can wait until the break. Okay. Murphy's Law. Please pardon me.
Well, it's never going to win any architecture prizes, but inside this Rutherford.
So everything now is in the cloud. Even the video is in the cloud. This video is actually just to show you the behind the scenes, actually what happens to you when you use the cloud, what actually goes on, and how did the service actually get started. Okay, so I will wait for this to load, but in the meantime, I will run another more reliable cloud service, which is called Google. Okay, hang on, it's BBC. Actually, yeah, if I'm thick skinned, I'll say this is intentional, but of course not. Give me a moment, please be patient with me. And we even have advertisements. Okay. Right.
Well, it's never going to win any architecture prizes, but inside this rather forbidding building is what you might call the belly of the internet. It's a vast data center, and we've had to come through a number of levels of security to get here. And it really stores all the vast amounts of data that we will put online these days. Let's go and have a look inside. Two things you need to know about these data centers. They need a lot of energy and they create a lot of heat. So the energy here comes from a nearby hydroelectric dam, but there's backup. There are generators, there are also these batteries that can be switched on if the power from outside goes down. And then all those banks of servers, they create an awful lot of heat, they need cooling down. So you've got a refrigeration unit here, one of three that keeps the place cool. So this is the heart of a data center. It's a server room. It's one of 10 giant server rooms at this particular center, with as many as 30,000 servers in each of them. Obviously a vast amount of computing power, an awful lot of storage, and all part really of this big ramping up of cloud computing. And here's Mike Manos from Microsoft. You run the data center operation. Mike, just give us a sense of the scale. How much can be stored in a place like this?
Well, I did a little calculations, and if we had flagged to something that everyone likes to do, which is storing pictures up on the internet, this facility, or a facility of this size, could house somewhere in the neighborhood of 6.75 trillion photos for the users of our cloud applications.
It's about every photo in the world, and an awful lot of search and instant messaging, all sorts of other applications.
That's correct. Across the breadth of our cloud computing platform, we have instant messaging, email storage systems, pictures, video. All of those services are served at facilities just like these all across the planet.
Now, people will be worried about a couple of things. They'll be worried about security in terms of people getting hold of their data. They'll be worried about what happens if a place like this shuts down.
It's going to steal my show, so I'm going to go on to the next one. I'm going to show you what Google did a few years ago, and it's also outdated. Okay, what they do a few years ago.
The hangar tour starts with a shot of the bridge crane used to move the containers. As we pull back, we get a view of the single-story side, which is more clearly seen from a vantage point on the mezzanine. Clearly seen from a vantage point on the mezzanine. There are 15 containers on the single-story side.
I'm just going to show a few seconds of this, okay, to get you to have a perspective.
Amongst the safety considerations in using
containers, and I just want to show you something that
emergency exit stairs and egress pathways as required by code at the tail end of the units. This final view gives us an idea of the scale of the hangar bay.
Yes, so they use containers
in this segment. We follow one of our technicians to the container where he's dispatched to perform a server replacement. Here, we see him making his way on his Google-provided personal transportation device. he must first verify the machine location. As you see here, each tray is outfitted
So
with
you roughly get an
onboard
idea,
GPS.
okay, what goes on behind the scene. Then the next one, so what we saw just now, right, everything now is compressed. And this is not the advertising gimmick.
Just like Henry Ford's assembly line,
So one of the things that is very important in cloud computing is network.
line gave us affordable automobiles in 2010.
Yeah, so what happened, right, is in this
HP's Podworks assembly line for data center meant that you didn't have to be Google or Microsoft to transform your enterprise or even your computer room. Both assembly lines made improvements like quality and speed, but customers just wanted more, like high performance and high technology, like today's nearly perfect energy use vehicle. Welcome to the HP Pod 240A, the world's most efficient data center. It packs 10 times the IT capacity in a quick, modular, compact package.
Okay, so what we see now, right, is that what used to be a container.
The HP Pod 240A consists of two 40-foot IT modules.
Okay.
Each housing up to 22 50U industry standard racks that includes 24.
So you see here, right, there's this, just now when we saw this, okay, what we saw here was actually what they call the cold lane. So the heat of all the computers, right, you know, your computer, when you buy a desktop last time, the back is always very, very hot. Yeah, so now they do the same. They put everything in a nice neat row, and then there's a front which is the cold one, and then they have a hot one at the back. And then they make use of how heat actually moves within this container, and they adapt to the natural environment outside, and they still can achieve a 1.05 PUE. Okay, if you don't know what is a PUE, you just go and look for it on Google when you're talking. Okay. So that's it for the HP pod. But that's just one of them. There are many different providers out there. But now we look at all these things, right, and we start to wonder, so what? Right, so what? So what is the thing that actually makes cloud computing hot? What is the attractiveness, right, to both the service providers and to ourselves? To the service providers, right, what we see there is just the tip of the iceberg. Okay, they use all these physical containers, and on top of these machines, they build something known as virtual machines. Okay, and these virtual machines are really virtual. That means one physical machine, one computer, I can run many, many different virtual machines above it, and at different times. Why? Because our world operates in the 24 hours, right? When we sleep, the US actually start working. Okay? And because of that, they can supply a more higher utilization, right? So when Asia sleep, USA wakes up, they use the same computer, but they use a different virtual machine. It's like a different virtual account. I make an account of a computer for you, I make for him, in different locations around the world. And because of that, they're selling virtual products. Virtual products are just like insurance, right? You get a piece of paper or something that's imagination, based on imagination, okay, but there's a certain guarantee. So they also guarantee to you, we will make sure that there's 9.99999% uptime, and so on. Okay? And there's also economies of scale. Now with the same set of hardware, you can give different people at different times different utilization. Okay? And when they need more, you just give them more because you create more virtual ones. And that's called elasticity. Okay? Not rubber band. And for us, we want the cheapest, okay, Singaporean. Then we want the most convenient, and we want the easiest. Okay, so it's fantastic for us. But what is in it for us? Now with this service, we don't need to maintain, we don't need to install. And the most cool thing about this is, instead of going through the entire process of going to procurement department, requesting for your manager, going to procurement department, then the procurement department approve, then procurement director approve, and then the VP approve, then the president approve. Now you just need a credit card. You go type in your credit card number, and then you just buy that service. That's why everything is as a service. Okay? But some companies overdo it, they say everything as a service. So look at the price. I hope you can see. Okay, these are all in Singapore dollars. I actually took it out from a very prominent cloud provider. Okay, these are all in Singapore dollars. So that means if you buy a small server, you only pay 0.095 cents per hour to use the computer. You go and multiply by 1 whole year. How much is that? It's still cheaper than your iPad. Okay. And imagine this for all the businesses. That's why Foursquare and other companies can run on this. Okay? Not only that, we have other kinds, such as, they even promise you want internet bandwidth. So my one is the lousiest one. Okay? That's why my bandwidth was bad. But if you want the better bandwidth, yeah, you can just get at 12 cents per gigabyte. 12 cents per gigabyte is, I just bought one 8 gigabyte thumb drive, which costs $12. For this guy, 1 gigabyte, 12 cents. Okay, so that's why they say they're cheap and more convenient. But at the same time, for the IT professionals, okay, if you do not train yourself again to understand concepts such as virtualization and so on, your jobs may be so-called lost. But if you retrain yourself, you will be gaining a new job. Okay, so it depends on how you view it. There's also the dependence on network connection, which is very evident in I had to show you videos just now. And there's a reduce of trust because now, I put everything into their server. Can I trust them? You know? And there's also the worries about what if somebody hack into your cloud? So that is actually the main topic of today. But let's think about the nature of cloud computing. Okay, humans are very interesting. We like to complain, right? But we look at it, can we do better? No, you look at the data centers just now, do you think we can do better? I mean, maybe I can skate better than the guy, okay? But I don't think I can maintain the large amount of servers with the virtual servers on top at a better rate, okay? So we outsource to them. Then they say, I'm placing my data into your hands, how can I trust you? My data is very important, especially companies that handle sensitive data, such as banking, or government, or hospitals. Imagine all your X-rays all go into the cloud, and then the hacker go in and take a look at your X-ray, okay, or your MRI, okay. But wait a minute, well, we're using Gmail, right? We're using Facebook, right? So why are we complaining about trust? And why are we not complaining about Facebook and Gmail? We are very paradoxical, right? Why do we trust them? Is it because they are free? And what is the threshold? Because it's free, I can sacrifice, or because all my friends all post my pictures online, I better go in and create an account. So what's the threshold? We have to ask ourselves this, and that's the fundamental basis of my talk today. Not to teach you more jargon, more buzzwords, but to let you think, so that when you talk to another cloud computing professional, you can question them back, okay? And try to question them back in a more intelligent way, okay? So what are we trying to find? What are we fundamentally trying to protect? We are protecting data, okay? So now with cloud computing as a service, we don't own the systems anymore. So what's left to protect? Only the data, nothing else, okay? So do we care about all these things? No, maybe your device to log into the browser, yeah, that's the thing you care about. But other than that, your data is not lost because everything is stored inside the cloud. Okay? And when you lose your thumb drive or when your hard disk crash, think about this. Which one are you more concerned? You won't see a person say, my hard disk so sentimental. Why my hard disk? But they will say hey, it's actually my data. My wedding pictures. The video of my child when he started walking. That kind of thing. So these are the things. So when we want to think about cloud computing, we have to know the focus. Is it system or is it data? And you know the answer. Okay? And let's look into the past. The past, there's no cloud computing, of course. But human nature is always the same. We have to learn from the past in order not to repeat the same mistakes again. Okay? Not I say one. Winston Churchill said. Okay? So now we shall take a break. Mental break. You want to stand up, you want to go to the toilet, now is the time. But when you do so, also think about coming back again. There's now a 10-minute break and quiz, and I will be giving you this question. Crack this, what is this gibberish, right? It's actually known as an encryption